For those of you who are trickling in, welcome. We'll give it another couple minutes. You're going to see participants. There we go, 4950. There's several hundred signed up. We're up to 50, which is good. Give it another minute or so, and then we'll get started. I'm broadcasting from Seattle, Washington, where it is now June 18th, and we've had a nonstop winter from October to June. It's raining, it's cloudy, and it's in the 60s Fahrenheit. As you can tell, I'm not too pleased about that, folks. To make me feel better, please in the chat, tell me where you're from. Sunny California, perhaps, sunny Florida, somewhere in Europe where it's nice and hot. Go ahead, make me jealous. Let's see what we got. I'll pull it up here. Beautiful Mumbai. LA, it's gloomy, huh, Evan? Good, I'm glad. Makes me feel better. Now I'm not. It's always sunny down in California. I used to live in the west side of Los Angeles, Paris, Mexico City. Winter in South Africa. I don't feel so bad. Beautiful Istanbul from Melissa. David patching in from Mexico City. Wood from Taiwan. Welcome, Wood. And Billy from Nigeria. Oh, God, I love this. Rare sunny day in San Francisco. Sharon, I used to live in, I went to school at Berkeley, so I know Bay Area weather well. You probably heard this famous quote by Mark Twain. The coldest winter I've ever spent was the summer in San Francisco. I remember hearing that when I lived in San Francisco. Sayana, welcome from Iran, or I should say Iran. Sunny with cool breeze right now, 8 p.m. Beautiful. Thank you for joining us, Sayana. I hope I'm pronouncing your names correct. That could be Saina or Sayana. I think it's Saina. But if I apologize if I pronounce it correct, I really do love names and words. I used to be a writer and reporter for the LA Times, and so words and pronunciation is very important to me. Sumya from Delhi, India, 40 degrees Celsius, and you're still alive? Welcome, Sumya. Rainy Bengaluru for Saruchi, welcome. Vancouver, New York City, Anne. I used to live in New York. Mumbai. That Mark Twain quote is an urban myth. Thank you for that, Evan. I appreciate you humiliating me on screen. No, I'm just kidding. It is an urban myth. I agree with you. Pronunciation is perfect. Okay, on that note, let's get started. Is it really an urban myth? Evan, I thought that, is it an urban myth that he quoted it, or that the coldest winter he ever spent was a summer in San Francisco? I don't know. Maybe we'll look it up. But Mark Twain, known accurately or inaccurately for saying that the coldest winter he ever spent was the summer in San Francisco. Samya, thank you. Samya, I do love pronunciation, and welcome to you. All right, what are we going to do today? Enough of the chit chat. My name's Avi. I'm here to be the eyes and ears of the admission committee, behind closed doors, behind the curtain. Let's peer behind the curtain and see what they're saying, what they're thinking, how they're viewing you when they read your application. Okay, we're going to take a look at a winning application today. My experience, as I said, my experience is from the Haas School of Business. Reading and evaluating applications for admissions, interviewing applicants. This was, excuse me, many years ago before I got into the other side, which is consultancy. Which one do I enjoy more? I enjoyed both. Why? What did I enjoy about both? Both are in the realm of education. And for those of you who are in the field of education, you know that you get a big kick out of helping people flourish and thrive and prosper. And that's what gets you up in the morning. Remember that as you negotiate your application process. Why? Because many people view the AdComs as their enemy, the gatekeepers, the people, excuse me, the bouncers at the door of the trendy club that have the velvet rope that won't let you in unless you're on the list. That's not the AdComs. Let me give you a brief character sketch of the AdComs, so you can sort of shift your perspective into something that empowers you rather than something that intimidates you. AdComs, which for those of you who are not familiar, is shorthand for admissions committee members, are composed of educators at heart. Okay. And who are educators? Educators are people that want to help people succeed. That's who they are by nature. They're not super ultra competitive people. They're not people that are, intense, aggressive career climbers. It's not to say that they're passive people. These are highly intelligent, ambitious people but their calling is education. And so they want to help people succeed. So if they want to help people succeed, it begs the question, why are they only allowing 5% of applicants to enter, Stanford Graduate School of Business, or 10% at Harvard, or, 8% at Wharton, or whatever? It's not because they don't like you. Okay. In fact, if you get rejected from HBS or Stanford or whoever, it's not necessarily because your application was not strong. That could be a reason. That often is. Your application could be strong and they just simply don't have the spaces. It's just like eating at a trendy restaurant in New York City. You might want to eat there and you can afford to eat there, but they just don't have tables that night and you're just not getting in. Okay. And it's not because they're discriminating or they don't like you or you don't match their profile, but they just don't have the spaces that year. That's one reason why you don't get in. That's beyond your control. Today, what we're going to talk about is what's within your control, which is the features of the application that they're going to evaluate in making their decisions. What are those features? Let's take a look. So you see this code here, at the end of business today, if you do decide to reach out to me. I'm approaching capacity right now for the 2024 cycle. I don't work with many applicants because I do all the work myself. I work hand in hand with all my applicants and all my clients. And so I cap it between 20 and 25 and, I'm approaching capacity. However, reach out to me anyway. Why? Because I can recommend other exceptional consultants that are just absolutely top flight, cream of the crop consultants if I happen to be full. A little note about Leland. Leland is the finest platform for graduate school and MBA coaching in the history of mankind. And this is coming from somebody who's got almost 20 years of experience in this space. Exceptional people running it, managing it, producing the platform, and fine, high-level, sophisticated coaches that are educators at heart and love to help you. What are we going to talk about today? Here we go. Resume, main essays, letter recommendation, the application portal itself. We'll leave a little bit of time at the end for questions. The percentages here that I've listed are very rough. It's intended to give you an idea that the GMAT and GPA is not the only thing that they consider. Sure, it's part of it. Okay, call it a quarter. If you add up these, this is your first GMAT GRE math exercise, add up these percentages, you'll get roughly 70-75%, which means 25 to 30% is GMAT, GRE, GPA, which is significant. I'm not saying it isn't. However, in my years of doing this, I have seen far more applicants get accepted with subpar GMAT, GRE scores, and GPAs, but exceptional components, these 4 components of their application, than I have applicants who come in with 750, 760 GMATs and 3.8s GPAs, but very non-compelling qualitative aspects of their application. These are the qualitative aspects, right? The quantitative aspects, GMAT, GPA, those are numbers, data. The qualitative aspects, resume, essays, LOR, application portal, okay? Let's start where most AdComs start, the resume. Okay, so let's take a look at this. A few things that I want to point out. Okay, obviously I've redacted the resume to remain anonymous. So in that black bar, obviously you got your name and your info. What do I mean by info? Address? No. Address is very 90s, 2000s, 80s. LinkedIn address is what you want to put on. Okay, not your physical address, but your LinkedIn address. Name, LinkedIn address, email. If you have space, phone number, it's fine. Not necessary, but you can put that. Okay. I want to point out a few things about this resume. First, physically, visually. Okay. Visually, it should be pleasant to look at. What's not pleasant to look at? You ever read War and Peace, the paperback version? Dense lines with tiny typeface and almost zero space between paragraphs. It's not pleasant to look at. It's intimidating. It's like, oh God, I really got to read this. So if you notice here, this is not perfect. In fact, I would have done another revision on this draft. Okay. This applicant was in a hurry, came to me at the last 2 weeks before applications were due and needed an overhaul on essays and resumes, which is why I say always start early. But you notice there is a decent amount of white space. There should be more. Okay. There should be more white space. So just remember, you're not trying to pack everything in. For instance, this section here, there's just not any white space, right? This is good. Okay. This is good here. Readable. Okay. This is also good. Okay. But there should be white space. So please remember that. Now, next thing we want to point out. By the way, can you guys read this? Is it big enough? If not, I'll increase the size. Chat, why don't you chime in? Anybody? Yes. Thank you, Avi. Readable. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Arjun, Ashley, Sri, thank you. Rohan, Ajay, Wood, thank you. Okay. This is not a, and by the way, if there's any issues with connection and there's a lag, let me know in the chat. Listen, this is not a resume to get a job. This is a resume for business school. They are fundamentally different, not slightly different, not subtly different, fundamentally different. If you compare this resume to the employment resume that was submitted to me before we overhauled it, two different entities, two completely different entities. What's the difference? The difference is this resume, a resume for employment, is intended to convey what you are capable of doing. Functions, job functions, job duties, things like that, job skills, hard skills. An MBA resume is intended to convey your soft skills, okay? How you lead, how you interact with people, what has been your personal contribution to various projects or things that you've been involved with. It should be filled with your own contributions, okay? What was that? So let's take a look at the entries and how they read, okay? So obviously I redacted it for the consulting firm. This was a consultant, okay? So consulting firm, date, and the various projects that this person was involved in. I'm going to start reading. Interviewed 40 HCPs to determine causes of underperforming assets, presented findings to internal and client leadership, leading to approximately $500,000 of additional work. I want to analyze this and break it apart and show you why it would be meaningful or impressive, I should say, to the admissions committee. Number one, look at the words. Interviewed, presented. What does that tell them? It tells the admissions committee this person can communicate effectively in a business setting, which means that they're likely to be assets to class discussions and also group projects, okay? People that are interviewing and presenting publicly are assets to the school. And AdComs are consistently looking for clues within the application to see if you will be an asset to the clues. Next thing this does, provide an outcome. Wow, leading to $500,000 of additional work. This person has a big impact on the type of projects that they're engaged in. Okay. And it gives me a very, very brief glimpse into the topic, which is largely irrelevant. What I mean, the topic, the content of the project. Okay. Determine causes of underperforming assets. I don't need any more than that. I don't need to know what those assets are. I don't need to know any jargon from your particular job. A major no-no is jargon. Okay, this is especially true for engineers and computer scientists and data analysts. They don't want to hear about your projects. They want to hear about you and what you have, the skills that you have deployed to contribute to those projects. Mainly soft skills, not hard skills. Not that you're exceptional at building PowerPoint decks, or that you build the best spreadsheets in the company, or that you are the best coder. And here's some coding jargon, to impress the admissions committee with your sophistication with coding. Interviewed, presented. Next bullet point: responsible for prep of global CFO and client lead for weekly meetings with clients SVP. First of all, what do I see? SVP, global CFO. This person is dealing with high-level decision makers. That's number one. Next, responsible for prep. Okay. I would have liked to see this a little bit more specific. Okay. Daily briefings, coached CFO for earnings calls, but still good, but not perfect. End goal: reduce $1 billion in costs through sustainability initiatives. Okay, I have an outcome. I'm right away off the bat from this first entry, I'm getting the sense that this is a person who knows themselves and their contributions well enough to distill the essence of it into soft skills rather than the content of the project itself. I haven't learned much about the projects that they're involved in. I've learned more about their contributions and who they are in the workplace. Okay, they're excellent communicators without telling me that they're great communicators. Remember, show, don't tell. Show, don't tell. Don't say I'm an effective business communicator, or I displayed effective business communication skills in negotiating, blah, 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 blah. Let it speak for itself. I interviewed 40 HCPs to determine causes of blah, 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 and I presented findings to internal and client leadership, leading to, tells me everything I need to know. Okay. Next, something impressive. Awarded, but look how it's phrased, awarded distinctive achievement, top 10 performers for a 9-month business strategy certificate program involving presentations on a fictitious client challenge. I put this here deliberately to show you that most of you probably suspect it doesn't belong here. Okay, this belongs in the additional involvement or distinctions and awards section, which we'll see later. So don't put this stuff here. Okay, leave it. Make sure this is consistent for professional experience. Okay. However, take a look at the specifics. Specifics. There's two things that you want in a resume: specifics and superlatives. You know what the word specific means? Superlatives, what do they mean? Well, something like this: top 10% performer, voted, third among 100 consultants as blah, blah, blah. Okay. Designated as the lead by, global head of blah, blah, blah to, you were designated the lead by. So superlatives meaning, why are you exceptional? Okay, let's look at the next one. Again, this is telling me a story so far. Okay, let's continue this story. Okay, facilitated a 3-day off-site workshop to enhance collaboration among, I capitalized "the" for a reason, and you'll see it in a second. Among the company's top 20 leaders, including 2 division CEOs. There is so much here to unpack. Number one, the word facilitated. Okay. This again speaks to leadership, organization, and management. Next, look at the specifics. A 3-day off-site workshop to enhance collaboration among the company's top 20 leaders. Again, executive communication. I'm communicating and interacting with high-level decision makers. Okay. And this makes it seem like, remember, if anything, what is a resume known for? If anything, it's known for being a document full of lies and exaggeration. That's what it's really known for, traditionally, okay? So the more specifics you can give, the more credibility, because nobody can confirm this, and they know that. Specifics lend it credibility, even if it's something as insignificant as this, okay? A 3-day, not a workshop, but a 3-day off-site workshop. It lends credibility. Everybody knows that the resume is embellished to some extent, okay? Hopefully you're not putting flat out lies there. You know, everybody embellishes it a little bit. I always encourage honesty, and honesty through specifics. If you can't drill down to specifics on something, chances are you're embellishing it a little bit, okay? So specifics, facilitated a. Now, why did I capitalize the and a and the? Watch this. Facilitated a 3-day offsite workshop to enhance collaboration among the company's top 20 leaders, including 2 division CEOs. I love it. 5 division leaders specifically requested the same format next year. Okay, now here's what we're going to do. We're going to eliminate a, we're going to eliminate the, and we're going to eliminate the. Eliminate all articles. Resume text and syntax should not follow proper grammar. Eliminate all dangling articles that don't need to be there for readability, like this. See this A? Not necessary. Okay, now let's read it. Facilitated, not a 3-day offsite, facilitated 3-day offsite workshop to enhance collaboration among not the company's 20 leaders, but among company's 20 leaders, including 2 CEOs. 5 division leaders specifically requested not the same format, requested same format next year. This is not proper English, but it's proper English for a resume. Why? Because it expands white space, right? It limits the amount of text in there, so it increases readability and the visual presentation of the resume. And it's an easier lift for the reader. They don't need all those articles. Everything should be scrubbed, okay? So on your resume, scrub for all articles, and also ands, okay? See this and? I'm going to turn that into a slash, okay? Internal / client leadership, not internal and client leadership, or internal and sign, okay? So trim the fat everywhere you can. Trim the fat. Okay, next, again, interviewed CFO and CEO, reaffirming high-level interaction to create briefs used for CEO on quarterly earnings call. Holy crap, that's a big deal. I'm seeing this person in the workplace visually. I'm imagining, I can see this person. They are interacting with everybody and producing high-level outcomes. Report, watch this, was lauded, okay, by CEO as the new gold standard direct quote. Look at that. For quarterly business reviews. You don't see this on regular resumes. Report was lauded by CEO as the new quote gold standard. Now, quotes are always misused, right? It's quote this, quote that. Direct quote by the CEO for quarterly business reviews. After they read this up to here, more than likely, knowing this as somebody who used to read applications, they're likely to read the rest of it very loosely. In fact, they may have already gotten enough and moved to this because they're like, all right, love it. Okay. Then they might just read the rest of it a little bit more loosely because there's a lot there and there's more good stuff. By the way, notice all these spell check indicators from Google. That's no good. That's no good. That's no good. That's a good sign if you have a lot of these squiggly lines underneath that indicate that there's a grammar error. It means that you've eliminated all the articles that grammatically should be there. Okay. Let's look at maybe one more thing. Look at this one, managed. Okay. We haven't used the word managed yet, right? Active verbs, active workplace, functional verbs. Managed, design a strategy team of 3 consultants to develop employee manual used to train. Yeah, that would have been cool. Used to train approximately 100 field agents. That turns it from, oh, it's pretty cool to, oh, wow. Again, I can see that. This was used to train 100 field agent. She managed the design and strategy team of the 3-person team who did this. Okay. Again, outcome, $275,000 contract. It should be numbers. Shouldn't be numbers on every entry, but this is a very balanced resume. Okay. Very, very balanced resume. Nominated by head of research to lead 10-person team instead of just what most people put, which is led team to blah, blah, blah. Okay. No, didn't lead team. Nominated by the head of research to lead a 10-person team of specifically researchers, designers, and executives to find potential solutions for industry-wide talent crisis. Report presented to nation's 10 largest pharma CEOs. I would have changed it to I presented to nations. Okay. You get the idea here. Okay. Additional involvement. Okay. This is a good title to use. Instead of, you could use additional involvement, community involvement, additional contributions. Okay. And there should be 1 or 2 max. Okay. Not more than that. Okay. Notice there's a nice white space between, another white space between, white space between. If it comes down to the choice between, Stephen King's, who was a writer, as you guys know, very famous writer, is famous for saying, kill your darlings, kill your darlings. As a writer, he says the things that you just are very married to as a writer. Oh my God, I love that sentence. Oh, I love this part. He said, kill them in the editing process because those are the hardest things to cut out, to trim the fat. Okay, but you have to do it. So take a look at this. Here's her additional involvement. Secured $5,000 worth of practice funding to initiate annual 90-person practice anti-racism training. Next one, initiated annual food and culture event. Increased participation from 15 practitioners in year 1 to 55 by year 3. Look at these specifics. First of all, I believe this person. And that's number 1 is believability and credibility. That's the number 1 litmus test for an applicant to be admitted. Is it credible? Is their application credible? Do all elements play off of each other? You'll see it in a second when we evaluate the essays. Okay. But look at the specifics here. Okay. It doesn't say, I am an avid cook. One of my hobbies is, dinner parties for friends. It's a little different than initiated annual food and cultural event, increased participation from 15 practitioners in year 1 to 55 by year 3. Okay. Education, 1 line, include everything in there. Now, you might not have a 3.97 GPA, which is straight A's across the board and 1 A minus. Fine. No problem. Don't include your GPA unless it's something superlative. Okay. If your GMAT is a 770, include it. This person's wasn't. There's no need to include it. However, they were summa cum laude and Phi Beta Kappa. What the hell does that mean? Well, it means I'm in the top 2%. You better clarify everything, okay? Just like up here, nominated by the managing director. That's what that means. That's a big deal, okay? Report was lauded by CEO as the new gold standard. Direct quote from him, specify and clarify. And then personal. This is different than your skills section, right? Skills section in your employment resume instead of personal would be like Excel, Microsoft, Office Suite, whatever, right? All those things. This is personal. Why? Because they want to get to know you in this application. So specifics, again, is the name of the game here, but also show your personality. This should be personal, parentheses, it, personality through the personal section. Watch what this person does. See the chat blowing up a little bit. Let me just check if everything's, yes. Oh, please increase. I'm sorry, Shrey. It's readable. Sorry, Shrey. I'll increase it here a little bit. I'll figure out how. All right, I'll do it for the next document, Shrey. Okay. Thank you for mentioning that. Personal. Well, let me just see here. Well, if somebody tells me how to do it, I'll do it. Where am I going? Normally I know how, but oh, oh, there. Yeah, choose 120%. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, there it is. 120%. All right, there. Oh God, I wish I would have done that earlier. Thank you, Shrey. Biking. It's not I'm an avid biker, right? It's not this. Avid biker, or I love mountain biking. Okay, good for you. Doesn't really show me anything. Biking, Pan Mass Challenge 2024, 200-mile cross MBA trek fundraising for Dana-Farber. Okay, detail, specifics, credibility, person that's involved in the community, has passion for certain charity efforts. Okay, look at this. Calligraphy and typography. Shameless novice. Wink, wink, right? It's kind of charming. It shows me this personality of this person. They can be self-deprecating. They can be a little humorous, right? Shameless novice. And it's interesting. They're into calligraphy and typography, right? Pretty unique, unusual interests. Disability advocacy. Serve on Massachusetts Department of Developmental Services, DDS Citizens Advisory Board. Again, specifics, right? That's what this person's into. Gardening, not I'm into gardening or I love gardening, but gardening. Volunteer gardener for Boston Public Garden, and watch this, unelected de facto gardener for my condo HOA. For those of you international, I don't know what condo HOA means. It just means the management arm of a condominium association. So this is, again, is a tongue-in-cheek reference to, yeah, I'm like the unofficial gardener for my apartment building, So it's not like it's an elected position, but I love gardening so much, I'm just the person that does it. Again, showing this person's personality. They're playful, okay? This is a very formal document, and yet they can be playful with it, okay? Skiing, again, not I love skiing in the winter. Believe it or not, guys, I see this all the time. And it's not because people are dense. It's they just don't know what specifics the AdComs are looking for. There's so many subtleties in each element of that application that are so critical that make an impression or leave the AdCom feeling flat and unimpressed and disappointed in some ways. They want to let you in. They want you to eat at their restaurant. They do. They're rooting for you. Sure, they have to discard certain applications. They can't admit everybody, but they want to like you. Give them a reason to. They want to like your application. Give them a reason to. You know, sure, do your best on the GMAT and GRE. That's an important part. But I'm telling you, and I'll emphasize it again, I've seen applicants and worked with applicants that have been far more successful getting admitted to M7 programs with resumes like this and essays that you're about to see, and GMAT and GRE, not horrible, but slightly below the average, than the opposite, monster GMAT scores and very unpersuasive or uninspiring, I should say, resumes and letters of recommendation, etc. Skiing. Initiated ski weekend for my practice, 2 years running, 20 participants. You guys get the idea. Let's go to the essays. First thing to notice, look at the title right here. Kellogg, essay number 1, leadership essay, version 11. Do all of them require 11 revisions? No, but it's rare in my years of experience that a essay can be ready before 5 to 8 draft revisions. Major revisions, not just for grammar, not just for word choice, but for content, positioning, flow, organization, all of it. Okay. Unless you're a novelist, this will be the hardest piece of writing you've ever done. Okay. Short word count. Okay. And a ton needs to be packed in there. Kellogg. This was a Kellogg application. Kellogg leaders are primed to tackle today's pressing concerns everywhere from the boardroom. I was going to say bedroom for the sorry, from the boardroom to the neighbor to their neighborhoods. Tell us about a time in your life where you've needed a combination of skills to solve a problem or overcome a challenge. Which skills did you use? What did you accomplish? Okay, so this is the leadership essay. How are you a leader? What do you contribute? And basically, how are you going to do that for us? So first, I'm just going to read it. And yes, I can already imagine the chat saying, can you increase the size? Here we go, 120. So I might not have time for everything I wanted to do today, but we'll try to get through most of it. Okay. Let's read this thing together. Like a lot of us, again, name of the game for essays, again, specifics. Specifics. Show. Don't tell. And one thing I tell my clients is if you are making a claim, eliminate the claim. I'm an effective business communicator. I am well-versed in handling negotiations. I am a self-starter and initiate action or whatever. Those are claims, okay? That's like saying I'm really good looking and very humble. You can't make that claim. Other people can say you're very good looking and you're a humble person, okay? You can demonstrate it, and that'll be persuasive and interesting, but don't just scrub all of your essays for empty claims. Instead, use specifics and stories that illustrate what your claim is intended to convey. Okay, here we go. Look, first paragraph right off the bat. Like a lot of us, I have struggled with asserting myself in the workplace. What does that make you feel when you read that? Does it make you feel a certain kinship with this person? Because it does for me, because I've struggled with certain things. Maybe asserting myself in the workplace. Maybe not, but I've certainly struggled with certain things. And the fact that this person's open and vulnerable about it tells me that they're an open and vulnerable, yet confident person. Where do I get the confidence from? Their resume, right? They contribute a lot. They deal with high-level decision makers. And yet, they can be open and vulnerable. It's a nice sentence. Like a lot of us, I've struggled with asserting myself in the workplace. As a natural connector, reaffirms the themes in their resume of them being somebody who initiates connections with people through their, remember the part, right? I initiated for 20 participants. I fundraise. Where was it? Right? Initiated food and culture event, increased participation from 15 to 55, right? More credibility, more and more credibility. As a natural connector, my inclination leans more towards consensus building. Let me go back. More towards consensus building and group cohesion than to confronting interpersonal conflict. Okay, they just shared something about it. They can be a little shy about, confronting conflict. They're more community builder. From initiating a pilot, now this is a claim. Okay, as a natural connector, I can be more this than that. That's a claim. They better be backing it up with evidence. From initiating a pilot onboarding program for new team members to spearheading the I&D community and events team, I've devoted my career to enriching the experience of those around me. Yeah, you're right, applicant. You are a natural connector who likes to build consensus and group cohesion. Okay, next. So when it came time to confront my then boss for crossing countless red lines, using profanity to degrade team members, screaming racial epithets, even physical intimidation, the initial draft did not contain these specifics. I encouraged the client to dig deep for these specifics and included them. Why? Because they're shocking? No, it's not because they're shocking. It's because it gives a teaser for what's to come. So it's like, whoa, this person was cursing at you using racial epithets, not at this, not at her, but at others, and even physical intimidation. I want to know what's happening. I want to know it's almost becomes a story now. Okay. So hook them in the beginning, okay, with what's to come. So when it came time to confront my then boss for crossing countless red lines, I felt out of my depth. Oh, okay, that makes sense because you struggle with asserting yourself in the workplace. After all, I had only been at my job for a year, and up until then, I had played it safe, staying in my swim lane. This often came at the expense of devising creative solutions, or at times pushing back or voicing disagreement. It's not that she says that she avoids confrontation. She gives us an example and also is self-aware enough to know that it cost her. This often came at the expense of devising creative solutions or pushing back, voicing disagreement when it was called for. Boy, the self-awareness here is just dripping out of this person, okay? Plus, notice she's not even answering the question directly. She's telling us a story, okay? Which is more engaging than just, where is it? Tell us about a time in your life where you've needed a combination. One time in my life when I needed a combination of skills to, God, right? I mean, that's just like when AdComs read that, they're just like, ugh, end it. Okay, they hate it. So don't answer it directly. Okay, so this often came at the expense of devising creative solutions or at times pushing back or voicing disagreement. Then I remembered I was the girl who won the Moral Positive Leadership Prize, awarded annually to a single high school senior who consistently exhibits moral courage. With this in mind, it was time to grow new workplace skills. That's kind of cute, isn't it? Thinking back to, hey, I'm the person who won the Moral Positive Leadership Prize, this cutesy little award they're given in high school, and for moral courage. And that inspired her to say, wait a minute, I'm not going to stand for this. If working in consulting has taught me anything, it's to formulate an executable plan. Every single sentence counts, guys. You only have 450 words or 600 words or 200 words or whatever. It's very, very minimal word counts. Every single sentence needs to pack a punch, because if it doesn't, it's a waste of a sentence and you're not going to be competitive with the applicants who did take 8, 9, 10, 11 versions to make sure and refine the narrative so that every single sentence tells something to the admissions committee that they want to know. What do they want to know here? Here's one skill as a consultant that I'll bring to Kellogg. As the most junior team member, 6 words, but it already tells me a lot. I proposed to my colleagues that we take it up the chain of command. They were understandably sheepish. After all, I too was concerned about the potential repercussions of my job. Empathy. She didn't judge them for being sheepish after they asked them to help her, to take this up the chain of command and do something about it. Okay. She's empathetic about it. But risking termination, I escalated the matter and soon found myself in meetings with the CHRO and general counsel. Okay. She skipped all this stuff in between. So there was a lot of stuff in that first, second, and third draft about the details of how it went to the, up the chain of command, and it did this and all her struggles and all. That's not necessary. Okay. Here's what's necessary. She risked termination, okay, to escalate this all the way up. While I've always considered myself a strong workplace communicator, doing so in a very emotionally fraught situation required a skill set I hadn't yet developed. She's about to tell us how she developed this skill, because this essay is all about these skills, combination of skills. So far, she's talked about it, the skills that she developed in consulting, okay, to formulate an executable plan, taking it up the chain of command, consensus and community building as her job. But now she's got to build something new I hadn't yet developed. Okay. And again, vulnerable. Okay. This is not something that she was. Now, notice also the nitty gritty details of this, crazy boss that this person had that was yelling epithets and blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. There was a lot of details about that we cut, in various drafts. It doesn't matter. The focus needs to be on you, not the drama of the situation that you're describing, but you and the cultivation of your skill set. Thankfully, the business communication skills I had cultivated in dealing with fickle clients and navigating complex negotiations for my disabled brother's state services came in handy. 4 words. Tells me something. Most people spent paragraphs about dramatic situations in their life that could be dramatic and compelling. But when they're inserted in a subtle way, it's even more impactful. I'll give you an example. Here's 2 sentences. I'll give you an example. The hardship that I faced having parents that were immigrants and poor, and I had to, wear old clothes that were donated from families, made me a stronger person. Okay. There's one sentence. Here's another sentence. I have forged character attributes in determination, strength, and resolve. This has been done through my achievements in blah, 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 despite the fact that I grew up with parents on welfare. Just that piece, okay? That told me everything. Grew up with parents on welfare. I don't need the details of it. And it's more impactful that way when you include something pretty dramatic and underplay it. Underplaying drama is very effective. Any storyteller and script writer and novelist knows this, okay? Let the reader decide the degree of the drama, okay? So nice little insert here that we used that was overplayed in a whole paragraph before. And again, calling up skills, which is a direct answer to the question. Rather than painting myself as the hapless victim of an imperious boss, which might be viewed as vindictive, I instead emphasize how my boss's top-down toxicity undermined our team's effectiveness. Knowing how important this new revenue-driving client was to my higher-ups, I strategically appealed to their business decision-making rather than their sympathy. Oh God, that's powerful. That is powerful, especially in an age where everybody is viewing themselves in some way, not everybody, but many people are viewing themselves as a victim, and that victimhood is supposed to justify some sort of consideration by people. This person's saying the exact opposite. I could say, oh, she was screaming at me, my boss, and she was mean, and she was using this, and she would physically confront me. None of that, okay? Rather than painting myself as the victim of an imperious boss, I instead emphasized how my boss's toxicity undermined our effectiveness. Knowing how important this revenue-driving client was to my higher-ups, I strategically appealed, this person knows their audience, without saying, I always know my audience and I cater my message to my audience. That's a very limp sentence. This is powerful. It shows it without telling it. Not long after that, my boss was fired. No need to be dramatic about it. Again, previous drafts included details about all this. Okay, not necessary. But not before, and I know that we're running out of time, guys. I'll have a little bit to say about LORs and everything, you know, but obviously we're not going to get through all the essays. But not before my 4 teammates joined me in filing their own complaints. Rather than lamenting their initial inaction, I felt proud of my team for taking my lead and doing the right thing. After all, in addition to the courage and tenacity required to do what I did, my Catholic faith also has taught me grace and humility. We're only in 300 words so far, just a short 300 words, and there is so much there. The skills she's cultivated as a consultant, her Catholic background, okay? Why she is an empathetic leader rather than a imperious or vindictive or aggressive type of leader, okay, with the people that she wanted to join her in this effort that didn't, you know, but she showed empathy for what they were going through, being fearful for their job. A strategic person who understands their audience, okay, a risk taker, okay, a moral risk taker. All of these things in just 300 words. Okay, grace and humility. Being religiously oriented, I resonate deeply with the principles of respect, ethical business conduct, and intellectual growth that is ingrained in Kellogg's learning culture. Oh boy, is that a winner right there. Why? Hey, I know you to the AdCom. The AdCom's hired by Kellogg. That's their company. They're proud of their company. They want you to know, they want to know that you know who they are, okay? They want to learn who you are, but they also want to know, do you know who they are? And this sentence, in one sentence, demonstrates that this applicant does. Those are the same guiding principles I use for my own decision-making, especially since the aftermath of my workplace saga. Let's finish up here. On the heels of my success, I used my newfound confidence to request an above-level role that required me to drive all client interactions and offer creative recommendations to various SVPs. Not only did they talk to me about the example that the prompt asked for, but more importantly, how they've developed and implemented and applied those newfound skills and character attributes since then. So remember this model, okay? Who were you before? In all essays, it's important. Who were you before the incident that you discuss or the example you discuss? How did it shape you? And then give me an example of how you applied how it shaped you after, in the aftermath, like this applicant does. On the heels of my success, I use my newfound confidence to request a blah, blah, blah. Again, very specific here. Even colleagues have taken notice of the change. In the past year, several have approached me for advice on how to voice concerns to leadership. Okay, here's the impact that my experience has had on me and others. And to close, I intend to bring to Kellogg the same spirit of group cohesion, community building, and compassionate leadership, whether it's leading Kellogg's Healthcare Club or using my contacts to bring in industry forerunners for the annual Business of Healthcare conference. I know you, Kellogg, and I know me, and I know how we are going to create a beautiful marriage and how I'm going to help you and how you're going to help me, okay? And then, of course, in the career essay, it drills down into specifics for how. I was going to go over a short answer application, the actual portal, okay? But same basic idea, specifics, specifics, specifics. Letter of recommendation. Let me just read one entry, and then you'll get the idea. Okay, in what ways has the candidate distinguished himself or her among their peers? Again, the idea here, guys, and I know we're running out of time. Specifics and superlatives. Remember, with letters of recommendation, you're asking somebody to do something for you. And what's the natural reaction for anybody when somebody asks you to do something? It's like, yeah, sure. What do you want? Right? It's this reluctant kind of, okay, what do you want? So when I coach my applicants, we put together a letter of recommendation package for the letter writer, so they know exactly what we're looking for, specifics and superlatives. Let's read this real quick. Simply put, Joe is one of the best business analysts we hired in recent years. Superlative. Really? Why is he? We trust Joe with especially complex assignments and delivers far above expectations. He provided exceptional value. Look at these words: exceptional, best, for one of our country's largest corporations in renegotiating contracts. He set ambitious goals, managed the work, and directed professionals carrying out negotiations. Very specific. The financial results, what were the results? Were nothing short of outstanding, best, largest, these words. I don't believe anyone else would have had the same creativity in delivering solutions, the same management ability in leading people towards what seemed to be unreachable goals, and the same dedication as Joe. I'm thrilled to have given him the responsibility. Then, of course, specific. Look at these numbers, okay? Joe's initiative and creativity are exceptional. Look at these superlatives. These are important, guys. In order to get superlatives and not get a generic, Joe is great, everybody loves him, and he's going to be an asset to your business program, no good. Okay, it needs to be specific and superlative. I'm going to stop sharing now and sign off. But before I do that, okay, so we went over, you get the idea, hopefully. The applications are a big deal. You got to do them right. And it takes many, many drafts and revisions to do so. Like I said, whether I'm available to coach or I'm booked, you can reach out to me either for this deck, which is pretty short and small, but or recommendations for other strong consultants. At the time, I do have a few spots level. Here's a code you can use for 5% off services with me. And I think that's it. I think that's it. With Amanda's permission, I'll stay for an extra few minutes for questions. Is that okay, Amanda?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, just a few minutes. All right, so let's go into some questions. How much should we contextualize our work achievements in the resume if we come from atypical industries? Prashant, that's a great question. I have to answer that specifically, individually for you if you want to reach out. I'm going to ask for a more generic question. Isn't this a bad start? I don't know what you mean, Arjun. Evan, do you instruct clients to co-opt certain aspects of a given draft for other applications where possible, write bespoke piece? Yeah, so Evan's basically saying, does every single word need to be original across schools? I'll answer it this way, Evan. Here's what you shouldn't do or what you can't do. You can't scrub the word Kellogg and then replace it with Yale or HBS or SGB for essays. That won't work. They'll be able to sniff that out a mile away. So don't do that. Is there going to be some overlap between among the schools? Yeah, sure. You're going to lift the paragraph from Harvard and maybe put it into Stanford. But if you're using similar essays and just scrubbing out the word Yale for Sloan or whatever, yeah, that's not going to work. Thank you so much. Will you consider doing a second session to cover remaining essay and LOR? Yeah. So will I consider finishing this off in a second session? Yeah, I'll reach out to the big bosses and see what they say about that, and we'll keep you posted. Can you describe the key parts you should put on your resume versus what you tell on the essay prompts, or how much overlap is acceptable? Okay, this will be probably I'll answer one more question, but this will be an important one. Dylan asks, what are the key parts you should put on your resume versus what you should tell in the essay prompts? Here's the general rule. Introduce new pieces of information with each document. Each essay should tell something new about you. The resume should offer information that the essays don't. The letter of recommendation should introduce stories and experiences and leadership examples that the resume doesn't and the essay doesn't. Okay, so use each piece to introduce new information. That's another thing that takes many months. So the last piece of advice I'll give you is you better start early. I'm working with a client right now that's doing 5 schools, and we started in April. Okay. And we're doing 3 schools round 1, 2 schools round 2. It's going to be a 6-month, experience. Will we get a recording of this webinar? I'll defer to Amanda on that. She's already answered that. Okay. Thank you, Sumya. Thank you, Samya. I think it's Samya. You're welcome. Okay. I think that's it. Incredibly helpful. Any special resume recs for deferred applicants? That's a specialty question. Devamita, so I'm happy to answer that individually. All right, last question. Any thoughts on including in resumes? Yeah, that's gonna be specific. Okay, thanks everybody. God bless. We'll see you soon, and good luck on your applications. See you at the next one.